Hey, Shalom. This is the brother Abaya from the GMS Virginia camp back here once again. Before I get started, like always, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to my teachers, the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. Let's go into the book of 2 Kings, chapter 2. It's a it's not too long of a chapter, and it's a good, has a good message within it. Actually, a couple of good messages. So, yeah, I just want to do a little dive into 2 Kings chapter 2. So let's start at verse 1. This is 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass when the Lord power Yahweh would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. All right, that whirlwind is what? The whirlwind is the chariots. What people will call UFOs. That is what the whirlwind is. All right. When you go into the word whirlwind in the lexicon, let's look up the word whirlwind. Let's get that real quick. It says by tempest, by storm, right? Has the same definition of like a hurricane. But when you look at a storm or wind, basically it takes you by force, right? So the scriptures speak about the elect of Yahushua, all right, the servants, the bride of Yahushua, being taken up, being caught, being taken by force, some people call it the rapture, into the clouds, right? That's basically the same representation of Elijah being taken up by a whirlwind, all right, being taken by force from the planet Earth, all right, into a chariot or into what you would call a UFO, right? So basically the whirlwind just represents Elijah being taken by force, all right? So let's get verse 2. It says, And Elijah said unto Elisha, Tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord power Yahweh hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. So Elisha was a follower of Elijah, but also a brother in arms of Elijah. They were servants unto the Lord together. All right. Both of them prophets of the Lord. Elijah and Elisha are both prophets, man. Okay. Which shows you the unity between bros is important within the ministry of serving their creator, within the ministry of serving their Lord. That unity is very vital. All right, this is not about being a one-man band or being a lone wolf or thinking you can get it, you can do bad all by yourself or get it done all by yourself and, be the star of the show or the main guy or, do things always how you want to do it and nobody has to examine you or look over you or correct you or rebuke you. You don't have to answer to nobody. That's not the lot of a prophet. That's not the lot of a servant, all right? Baruch had Jeremiah over him. Samuel had Nathan, because Nathan came after Samuel. Nathan had Samuel over him, right? Not saying they were directly tied as Nathan and Samuel was always kicking it. No. Nathan came up under Samuel. So you had Samuel during the time of King Saul and King David, and Nathan came in during King David's rulership and followed into King Solomon's rulership. All right. So prophets always are you always have more than one prophet. Actually, when you look at the chronological order of the prophets, they kind of intertwine within the same periods, all right? Whether it's the Babylonian captivity, the Persian captivity, the Grecian captivity. Well, technically during the Greeks, we didn't have any, it wasn't a time of the prophets. It was a time of heavy Hellenization and heavy persecution. But you get the point, right? For example, just to give a more clear example, you got Amos and Hosea, right? Hosea was a prophet under different kings, multiple kings, but Amos and Hosea were prophets under Jeroboam II, right? You got Isaiah and Micah, all right, and Nahum, all right. You got Jeremiah, Zephaniah. They were all prophets, intermingling around the same time. And you got Ezekiel and Daniel, so yeah, just to show you how prophets can sometimes coincide, a lot of times coincide. But in this case, Elijah and Elisha were working together to serve the Lord. All right, let's continue reading in 2 Kings, the second chapter. And it reads, verse 3, And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha and said unto him, Knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? So Elisha looked at Elijah as his master, which is teacher, all right, which is also Lord, and your Lord in a sense, a lesser Lord. So you have men in the world today that don't want to have a man today, a carnal man today will not refer to another man as master or Lord, because they don't know the proper understanding of words. They don't understand the meaning of these words, and they don't understand the significance of these words, and they just don't understand how life is supposed to be lived, and they just lack understanding in general. The scriptures say, with all that get understanding. All right, there's lesser kings and there's lesser lords. The scriptures call our Hamashiach Yahweh King of Kings and Lord of Lords, which lets you know there's other kings, which lets you know there's other lords. A woman's husband is her Lord. Is he the Lord of all lords? No, but he's her Lord. Your master, your teacher is a Lord to you, all right? He's a master to you, but is he the Lord of all lords? No, right? So it's just a word. You can't let words, trump you up too much, right? It's just like, that's why names are significant, right? That's why the Most High's name is significant, because you can say, oh, I pray to God, I worship God, but who is God? What's your name? What's the name of your God? Is it Buddha? Is it Allah? Is it Satan? Is it Beyonce? Is it Jay-Z? Who's your God? All right? You can't get trumped over just the words. You got to know the meanings of these words, right? So Elijah was the master of Elisha, and Elisha recognized that. Another precept that you can, matter of fact, let me get that real quick in the book of Acts. When you had the eunuch, bear me 1 second. It's in Acts, the 8th chapter, verse 30, right? And it says, And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read from the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. So, yeah, he desired Philip to be a teacher unto him, to be a master unto him, all right, of getting understanding of the scrolls of Isaiah, all right. How can he understand if he doesn't have a man that'll teach him? And these were things that men understood back in the ancient time. It wasn't a big thing for a man to consider another man a master over him, right? He's teaching you, something. He's making you a master in something, right? Yeah, so that was the account with the Ethiopian eunuch and Philip. So going back to 2 Kings, the second chapter, verse 4, right? It says, And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Jericho. And he said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho. And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha and said unto him, Knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he answered, Yea, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Tarry, I pray thee, here, for the Lord hath sent me to Jordan. And he said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on, right? Continuing reading, it says, And the 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to the view afar off, and they stood by the Jordan. And Elijah took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and thither, so that they too went over on dry ground. So Elijah had heavy spiritual power, man. At verse 9, it says, And it came to pass when they were going over, so he dried up basically the waters so they can walk, all right, over through the Jordan. And it came to pass when they were going over that Elijah said unto Elisha, Ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. So, hey, That's a wise man right there. Elisha was a wise man, because Elijah was endowed with heavy spiritual power, being a perfect man that lived upon the face of the earth. In the sight of the Lord, Elijah asked his brother in the spirit, his servant, right, his student. He said, "Look, I'm about to be taken away by the Lord. What is a gift I can give you before I go?" Elisha said, "Look, give me a double portion of your spirit." Elisha said, I want to be great like you. So pour down unto me your great spirit. And see, that's the thing about men of the Lord. They don't pray for carnal things, right? They don't pray for materialistic things. All right. They may desire these things. And if the Lord wants to give them, a cookie here and there, a treat here and there, the Lord will do it. But a wise man, a spiritual man, he prays for spiritual things. All right. And he desires wisdom. All right, a wise man desires wisdom. And now Elisha understood that. He said, "Man, my master is about to leave. I want to be great like my master. So look, master, give me a double portion of your spirit, so I can be as great as you when you leave." And that's the spirit to be in. You should want to be as great as your teachers, or not, or even greater. Right? Even Yahweh told his disciples, "The miracles I do, you should do greater miracles." Right? You should want that, but that don't mean you over your teacher and you trump your teacher because you do things he don't do. You still have reverence and respect and honor to your teacher, your master, your elders, because you are an example of them. You have entered into their labors, right? Continue reading. It says, verse 10, "And he said, Thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so." So Elijah said, "This is not an easy thing to do. But if you see me right before I'm about to go into this chariot, I shall do it for you. But if you're not around when it happens, it's not going to happen for you." Right? Verse 11. And that, the Lord, even when you go to the account of Yahweh with the disciples, he left them the comforter, he left them the spirit, and he left certain individual brothers with spiritual power. Right? Verse 11. "And it came to pass as they still went on and talked that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire." See, that's that whirlwind. That's that representation of the whirlwind. And it's going to say it. "There appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire." So there was multiple chariots around this chariot, "and parted them both asunder." And because horses also represent vehicles too. All right. That's how people used to get around in ancient time. Horses, camels, donkeys. So chariots and horses represent vehicles. "So there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven." So he was taken by force by this chariot. That's what the whirlwind represents, being taken by force. Verse 12. "And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the brook, by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and smote the waters, and said, Where is the Lord power of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over." So that lets you know Elisha was endowed with spiritual power, because he was able to do the same thing to the waters of Jordan that Elijah did for him earlier. Verse 15, it reads, it says, "And when the sons of the prophets which were to view at Jericho saw him, they said, The spirit of Elijah doth rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him and bowed themselves to the ground before him." So they seen that he had the spiritual power. So they said, "Hey, Elijah's spirit, the spirit that was on Elijah is with Elisha now," right? And they went and bowed themselves to the ground unto Elisha, which shows you there's nothing wrong with honoring and giving praise to men, right? But you don't give praise and honor to men over Yahweh Shah. That's not how it works, all right? But wise men understand when they are amongst great men, right? Verse 16, it says, And they said unto him, Behold, now there be with thy servants 50 strong men. Let them go, we pray thee, and seek thy master, lest peradventure the Spirit of the Lord have taken him up and cast him upon some mountain or into some valley. And he said, Ye shall not sin. And when they urged him till he was ashamed, he said, Sin. They sent therefore 50 men, and they sought 3 days, but found him not. And when they came again to him, for he tarried at Jericho, he said unto them, did I not say unto you, go not? So he basically told them, look, I already know where my master went. Y'all concerned about where he went. He's back in the spiritual realm, but they didn't know that, so they wanted to prove for themselves, where Elijah was taken. It's same thing with Yahushua. When Yahushua went back to the spirit realm, and he came back like after, on the third day. When he came back, when he was resurrected, when he was resurrected after the crucifixion, and I believe it was Mattathias that didn't believe, that didn't one of the brothers that didn't believe, and Yahushua showed him though, look at the holes still in my hands, right? So sometimes brothers sometimes some brothers need a little bit more evidence for their faith, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not every brother is allotted with the same amount of faith. Let's continue reading, man. It's verse 19. And the men of the city said unto Elisha, behold, I pray thee, the situation of this city is pleasant, as my Lord seeth, but the water is not, and the ground barren. And he said, bring me a new curse and put salt therein. So it says, bring me a new cruse and put salt therein. And they brought it to him. Cruse is bear with me 1 second. Let me look up what a cruse is. A cruse is a pot, like a pot or a jar. All right. So let's just say, bring me a pot, bring me a jar. Verse 21, and he went forth unto the spring of the waters and cast the salt in there and said, thus saith the Lord power Yahweh, I have healed the waters. There shall not be from thence any more death or barren land. So the waters are healed unto this day, according to the saying of Elisha, which he spake. And he went up from thence unto Bethel, and he was going up by the way. There came forth little children out of the city and mocked him and said, go unto him, go up thy bald head, go up thy bald head. And he turned back and looked up and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord power Yahweh. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood and tare 42 children of them. And he went from thence to Mount Carmel, and from thence he returned to Samaria. So that shows you a man of the Lord that's endowed with heavy spiritual power, that's one of the Lord's chosen elect, can put curses on people and have people put to death. They don't read that in the churches, So just because a man is righteous doesn't mean he can't use his righteous spiritual power to take your ass out for being wicked. You don't mock the prophets. You don't mock the servants of the Lord, because if you mock the servants of the Lord, you're mocking who? The master. You're mocking the Lord. It's not the servant that you're mocking. Yes, you're mocking the servant, but ultimately you're mocking his master. You're mocking his Lord, because the servant comes with the message, and he comes as the embodiment and the example of his master. So if you mock the servant, you mock the master, man. And that's your ass. So yeah, I just wanted to do that chapter, 2 Kings, chapter 2. Lord willing, this was edifying. Until the next time I say, Shalom.